Now, Robert Rodriguez returns to over-the-top kids movie mode in shorts. I loved the first Spy Kids movie. Keep in mind, I haven't seen it for about 10 years, but when that movie first came out, I freaking loved it. Spy Kids 2 and Spy Kids 3 were both okay. You know, let's not forget Shark Boy and Lava Girl. You know, the fact that Robert Rodriguez's son came up with that movie definitely showed. I don't even think I watched all that movie. I just saw some of it on TV. I just kind of watched bits and pieces of it. Very, very stupid. But nothing was preparing me for what I watched. Now, keep in mind, I of course wasn't expecting that great of a movie when I decided to rent this. But, you know, I didn't see it in theaters, so I'm like, you know what, I'll watch this. Very few times have I been in so much pain while watching a movie. This is a fantasy. You know, this movie is all these kids find this wishing rock, and you know, the rock grants their wishes. You know, it's gonna have a lot of fantasy elements. But the thing is, this is one of the dumbest movies I've ever seen. This is one of the most relentlessly retarded movies I have ever watched. But even outside of the fantasy, even outside of the over-the-top, you know, terrible special effect fantasy, the movie is stupid on its own terms. And outside of the fantasy, in order to get payback from a kid, this girl like takes the fish from the class fish bowl, puts it in her mouth, and the kid gets mad and pushes the girl, which causes her to spit the fish out, which causes the fish to hit the teacher in the face, which causes the teacher to mix chemicals together, causing an explosion, causing the kids to fly out the window. William H. Macy and Leslie frickin' Mann are in this movie. My heart truly does go out to them. Now, I know this is a kids movie, but seriously, if I had a kid and my kid enjoyed this movie, I'd get them to the freaking doctor. I can like picture myself being 2 years old to watch this movie and being like, Mom, what the heck? You know, it's obvious that this movie was made for kids, but the fact that it was made by adults is what scares me. It has absolutely no story. The movie is so incredibly lazy. You know, the rock just rolls from person to person, and unknowingly the person, you know, just says, you know, I wish for something, and, you know, without them knowing that the rock actually grants wishes, you know, that happens. Then insert terrible special effects and some dumb overlong action sequences, you know, unappealing kids that can't act, terrible writing. For some reason, this movie is not an out-of-place structure. You know, it's shorts. The movie is told in shorts, told out of order, and you know, that was really pointless. It didn't really add to the film. It was like Robert Rodriguez realized how horrible his movie was, and like, maybe it won't be as bad if I put it out of order for no reason at all. Terribly cheesy, corny, over-the-top, relentlessly dumb movie. Do not watch it. It is one of the worst movies I think I have ever seen. Definitely one of the worst movies of the year. Right up there at the very, very top of the list of the worst movies of the year. I'm giving this a 1 out of 10. This is a big 1 out of 10. An epic waste of time. I hate Valentine's Day. I hate this movie. Good lord. This movie is directed by Nia Vardalos. Is that how you pronounce her name? Nia Vardalos? Nia Vardalos. Isn't that how you say it? Nia Vardalos? Alright, Nia Vardalos. That's how you do it. This movie is directed, written, and starring Nia Vardalos, the woman from My Big Fat Greek Wedding. I liked My Big Fat Greek Wedding. I really liked My Big Fat Greek Wedding. I think that's a very good movie. Very funny comedy. I did not see My Life in Ruins, the movie that she starred in that came out this summer. Now, this was just a little, you know, this was just a movie that really didn't get into any theaters at all. It's now on DVD. I rented it because John Corbett's in this movie. John Corbett is, you know, the guy that played her love interest in My Big Fat Greek Wedding. So she resurrected him and brought him into this film. Now, one of the only saving graces of this movie is him. I think he actually does a pretty good job. Nia Vardalos, absolutely not. Her face was very distracting. I have not seen My Big Fat Greek Wedding lately, but I do not remember her being one of the most hideous people I have ever seen. Every scene in this movie, her eyes are like really wide. It's like almost as if she's like cross-eyed, and God, I don't know. Maybe she had an epic surgery, but not a very pretty lady in this movie. Let's just leave it at that. Such an unlikable character. I really wanted John Corbett to scissor kick her in the face and knock her head off or something. No, I don't really support violence against females, but really, her character was so unlikable. I'm gonna be honest, but the first half of this movie, at least the first half, I was seriously gonna give this movie a 1 out of 10. I was really gonna turn it off. I was just hating it. It was so unfunny, so unlikable, so stupid. I hated the characters. There was really no chemistry between them at all. The plot, I just thought the plot was so dumb. This woman just wants to have fun. She doesn't want to be in a serious relationship, so she dates guys, but she'll only date them for 5 days. So after 5 days, she'll dump them so nothing gets serious and she won't get hurt. I just thought that was terrible. The movie does not get good in the second half, but it does get better. I think one thing it does is adds depth to why she has these rules. It does somewhat make up for it, but still, this movie just isn't funny. The writing is horrible. The movie just tries really hard to be funny, and it really goes on for so long. The movie just drags. There's just this long period where everyone's just depressed, everyone's lonely, like, oh, should I call him, should I call her? And it just goes on for like an hour. So yeah, I wouldn't recommend this movie at all. You know, although I think it got better near the end, it was just not a fun experience. It wasn't funny. It wasn't anything we haven't seen before. The acting really wasn't very good. It was, like I said, John Corbett's alright. I would like to see him in other roles. No, stay away from this movie. I'm going to give it a 3 out of 10. Now, quick review for a really, really good movie. If you actually want to find a great movie to rent, In the Loop. This is the funniest movie I have seen of the year. This is honestly just an absolutely non-stop, just almost every single line of dialogue is absolutely hysterical. If you like The Office and you like satire humor, you know, it doesn't get better than this. This movie is hysterical. It's about this war between the UK and the US forming, and the acting is fantastic. You know, the actors perfectly execute this brand of humor, and this is definitely a brand of humor that really often fails. I think we have definitely learned that in the past with a lot of terrible satires. It's able to kind of have a type of stupidity to it, but say sophisticated and not like get unintelligent. Awesome comical writing. It is hysterical, really just non-stop. The movie, I was dying laughing. It is so funny. And it's quite an original movie, too. I've never really seen a movie quite like this. So definitely check this movie out. I'm going to give it a 9.5 out of 10. Now, this movie is called 5 Minutes of Heaven. It stars Liam Neeson and James Nesbitt. Now, the first time I'd ever heard about this movie, or really the only time I ever heard about this movie, really, I'm on message boards all the time, as you know, and just talking like non-stop, reading into movies, you know, reviews non-stop, and I never heard of this movie before. Saw a trailer for it on the DVD of another IFC film. Oh, the trailer kind of intrigued me, so last week when I found the DVD at Blockbuster, you know, I rented it. I really wasn't expecting much out of it, though, because I'd never heard of the movie before. I didn't hear any praise about it. You know, I just thought, you know, I love Liam Neeson, and, you know, it looked pretty good, you know, so I rented it. This movie is fantastic. This is one of my favorite movies of the year. I loved every second of this movie. It is the underrated movie of the year. You seriously need to check this movie out. I mean, this is a freaking great movie. Like, saying that this film's underrated, which means the performances are underrated. These are two of some of the best performances I've seen all year from Liam Neeson and James Nesbitt. It's phenomenal. This movie is so emotionally driven and so deep. Just give you a quick taste of the plot, you know, because like I said, I doubt that very many people know about this movie. The movie starts with a pretty long prologue, and it's when Liam Neeson was 17 years old. He was a UVF member in Ireland. And for one thing, like, picture how amazing Liam Neeson's voice is. Liam Neeson has one of the most beastly voices ever. And take his voice and put an Irish accent on it. Yes, it's awesome. But yeah, he used to be a UVF member. Killed this young Catholic guy, so he shows up with his buddies, you know, in the car, ready to drive him off. He just goes up to this house and shoots this guy 3 times in the head. And this little boy is standing outside of the house and watches the guy do it. And watches Liam Neeson do it. And that little boy was the guy who gets shot's brother. And this movie is now in present day, where they're supposed to do like this TV segment filming thing where they confront each other and talk about it, you know, and hilarity ensues. That's basically all I'll say. But, you know, bottom line, see this movie. Go out and rent this movie. It's very well written, very well directed. There is one scene that I won't ruin, but near the end, it is so well shot. My jaw freaking dropped while watching it. I loved this movie. This movie is very emotional, extremely well written, and phenomenal performances. Big recommendation. I'm going to give this movie a 9.5 out of 10. So it's a 1 out of 10 for Shorts, a 3 out of 10 for I Hate Valentine's Day, a 9.5 out of 10 for In the Loop, and a 9.5 out of 10 for 5 Minutes of Heaven.